Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Today we're going to talk about Skull Tales Full Sail 2nd Edition by Eclipse Editorial. Okay ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you kind of an upper level view of how to play the campaign Shadows for the Caribbean and all three of its phases. Now there's three main phases of the game. There's a port phase, there's a voyage phase, and there's an adventure phase. And they're going to play in that order, except for when you start the game. You're going to start off chapter 1, and you're actually going to start in the adventure phase because you can't do the port phase really until you have some money. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your campaign book, you're going to open it up, and you're going to go to chapter 1. Now the way the chapters are lined out is the first thing they're going to do is they're going to tell you a little bit of a story that you can read, kind of let you know what's going on, and it's going to give you a goal. The goal is going to basically, what do I need to do to win this? In this case, you're going to get Wolf Jones's diary, and you're going to leave the island. All right, it's also going to tell you, in the case of chapter 1, there's no voyage phase. It's going to tell you you're going to use the island tiles, and you're going to set this mark right here up to 18. Okay, oops, I flipped a couple of these tiles over. All right, now this token right here, 20 is the highest it can go to. If it ever makes it all the way down around this chart and gets to 0, then you're going to end up losing. So you have to try to complete everything in a certain amount of time. And there's different things that are they're going to bring this down. You're going to have a setup section. It's basically going to tell you what tiles or tokens that you're going to put in what order, what you're going to set aside, how you're going to deal with all that. And it's also going to tell you what your starting tile is. And I'll cover this a little bit more in detail here in a second. You're also going to have your story chart, which basically says if you find specific tiles, you're going to go read sections in the back of this book. Those may tell you to put more tiles, like this I4 and 7 I had to put off to the side. It's going to eventually put those in there, but it's going to just give you different things that you're looking for and ways to advance to your goal. Now, if you can complete the chapter, then you got this goals chart down here, and if you've completed goals 1, 2, and 3, you're going to get different fame for which ones you've completed. There's also a success chart. If you've done different things, you can get fame and gold for different successes. And you have an enemy chart on the bottom based on your difficulty level. Whenever you explore, unless it's one of these tiles here, you're going to roll a dice. On a 1, 2, nothing happens. In case of difficulty 1, a 3 or 4, 1 red coat, a 5 or 6, 2 red coats come out. Now, these different stories will actually advance the difficulty rating, and that's how you're going to get to these 2 and 3s. Okay, so right now you're going to start off, you're to difficulty 1, and you're ready to go. So let's move that guy out of the way. So the way this is going to work is you're going to set up your guys, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of cover the adventure, okay? You're going to put your guys anywhere on the boat that you want. And in this adventure book, I highly recommend this. You go to the back, and there is this adventure phase sequence. This is going to tell you basically from top to bottom how to do different things. It's going to also give you a really small view of your actions, but you're going to reference this a lot because there's a lot that will happen in this particular game. But also for your actions, there's this more detailed chart that you can use. And I like how they have one of these. So even the port and voyage phase have these as well. Okay. But every time you do something, this gives you a little highlight. So you don't necessarily always have to go to the book, and you can kind of pass this one around. So on your turn, you're going to get action points or command points. I can't remember how they reference them, based on this number right here. And like in this case, this is my pirate and this is my ally. Allies, they can't quite do all of these, but they can move and they can search and they can kind of help heal. Okay. Actually, I don't think they can heal. Now that I think about it. Again, too much stuff in this game. All right, so I'm going to set this dial right here, and you don't have to use this, but this helps you remember how many command points you have left, just in case you're doing stuff as you're spending them. So say I want to move a couple spaces, I would take this down to 4, and I could take my guy and I can move him to here, move him 2 spaces forward. Now you can actually move diagonal in this game as long as there's nothing in the way. So I can't go from here to here, but I can go from here to here and then to here, for example. Okay. Another thing you can do is you can do a search action. Okay, so like a search action is going to cost you 2 points, but if you see there's that little eye right there with the 4. That means you have to roll that ability, and you have to have a 4 or better to succeed. Well, if I wanted to search, okay, then I can take this, I can take it down, I can spend 2 of my points, and I get 3 dice. So I'll take those 3 dice, and I know I need a 4 better. So as long as I get at least 1 4, I pass. In that case, I get to draw a card. In this case, it's going to give me some food, and I can use this to heal 1 health later on. Now, let's say, for example, that I failed and I rolled all 1s and 2s, which is what I normally do. Then this pirate symbol is going to tick down one more space. Okay, get us just that much closer to losing the game. Now, one of the other actions you're going to use a lot of is you're going to explore. Okay, so for one action point, I could say take that down to 1. Say, for example, I was right there. I will flip over my top token, okay, and that tells me what tile I'm pulling. In this case, it's I1, and I actually kind of preset this one up just because I kind of wanted to show you how this works. And what you're going to do is you're going to set up your exit with the entry tile right there, okay? When you explore, if I remember right, I think you move into that particular space. But what you're going to do, then you're going to roll 1 dice and you're going to see if anyone spawns. In this case, it's a 5 or 6. I know from the chart that is actually going to be 2 red coats. Now, the enemies will always be placed, if it's a tile that's not one of the main ones, in the furthest away. Now, in the case where a second one goes, he's going to go in the second entrance that's furthest away. It'd be right there. If there was a third, he would go there. If there was a fourth, he'd be back over here, for example. Okay. Now, once exploration's done, then you're going to come over, and every time you explore, this is going to go down 1 more. So as you can see, you only have you're exploring. You only have 18 spaces this can go down. You have a whole stack of tiles that you have to go through, but you want to also do your searches and try to find equipment. So you have to kind of weigh how much searching do I do versus how much exploration do I do, to make sure that that doesn't make it all the way down to 0. All right. Now, one of the other things you're going to do a lot of in this game is you're going to do combat. Now, combat's actually really cool in this particular game, and I like it. Let's just move these guys over here, for example. Okay, just so we can see them a little bit better. So say I'm actually doing combat. Now, how combat works is you're going to take your melee ability, and you have to roll dice, and you have to exceed their agility. Okay, so if I was doing a melee with him, and I have a melee weapon that does 1 point of damage, okay, I have 3 on my melee. Okay, so I would get 3 dice. So I'd come over here, look at the red coat. The red coat actually, he gets 2 dice. So we'll take 2 dice for him, but he does 1 damage, but he has to exceed my agility, which is 4. So I'm going to roll all the dice. And what I'm looking for is for my dice, I'm looking for 3s or better. In this case, I hit with 3, okay? And he's looking for 4s or better. So all he did is he got a 6, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're just going to cancel everything out. All right, so the 6 will cancel out the 5, and the 2 5s are going to do damage. Now, the interesting thing about 6s is if I had rolled a 6, the only thing that could cancel my 1 6 would be a 6. And a 6 is kind of like a critical hit. It does an additional point of damage. So in this case, he would have been able to do that. But say, for example, he rolled the 5, I rolled the 6 and 2 5s. Okay, this 5 and this 5 would have canceled. I would have done 1 point, but then this would have done 2 points. I would have done 3 points of damage to him. He has 4. I'd put 4 points on him, okay, and he's wounded. If I still had I think it's 2 points to attack, which it is, if I had 2 more points, I could attack again. All right. Now, let's just say, for example, that I killed him. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put one of these tokens down, okay, in its space. So for one action, if I'm in the space or adjacent to the space, I can explore it. To explore it, I just take it, I flip it over. In this case, I'm going to find an item, okay, and so I'll get this. So basically, at the end of the adventure, if I still have this, it's going to be worth 20 gold to me, okay, which is actually really nice. And there's other things you can find. I mean, you can find food, you can find brews. I mean, you might actually find enemies. There's this whole stack of things that you may or may not find, okay. Now, let's just say, for example, I end up my command points. He comes over here. He ends up his. We're all done. We don't have anything going on. Then what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the event round. So in the event round, or actually we go to the enemy round. If there's enemies in our space or anything else, then they're going to attack. And actually I want to cover that real fast because these are really, really cool. So say, for example, I have this enemy right here. Let's put this guy over here. This guy's we killed him last turn, but he moved up. Now, the way enemies work is you're going to see on the side over here, there's going to be a little chart, okay? Every time you activate an enemy, and you have to do this for every one that's on the board. So even if this guy was up here, I determine which one I want to do. Say I activate this guy right here, okay? I roll a 6-sided dice. It tells me what's going to happen. He says he's going to confront me, okay, which he'll try to attack me. And then he's going to try to move towards the closest red coat. So it's the number moved times 2, which case would be 3 divided. So he would actually attack me. We would do combat the same way, and then he would try to move away. So then this guy, when I go to activate him, I would roll the dice, and he's got a 1, so he would try to attack if possible, and then move towards the closest exit. He can't attack, so he would just back up, so he wouldn't actually do anything. And so that's really cool. Every one of the enemies is going to have a different chart that they're going to go off of to determine how they work. So it's not like you roll one dice and then all the red coats do this. Everyone does something entirely different, which is actually really, really neat. Okay. Then if once everything's done, if no enemies in your space, so say we got rid of these, we don't see anybody, there's nothing in line of sight, then what's going to happen is we're going to pull an event card. Okay. Now when you pull an event card, first thing you're going to do is you're going to look down here. Now this has to be an I, since we're on islands, or blank. In this case, it's a T for the temple. Nothing happens. No event happens that round. But if, say for example, we would have pulled this one. Okay, this one doesn't have anything. We would advance the pirate flag one space on the adventure board. Okay, this would go over here. We'd discard that one, and we're that much closer to defeat because of that. But now a new turn starts. I would get my 6 command points back up. Okay, my cabin boy, he's going to have his 5, and he's going to do the same thing. He's going to move, he's going to explore, and he's going to search, and he's going to try to help out. Now, there's, like I said, a whole bunch of other stuff that can actually happen in this game. I mean, people can get knocked down. You can go over and try to heal them, try to bring them back. But you're going to continue doing this until you find or meet the goal of the game. Once you've met the goal of the game or the adventure, then you go down the chart. You figure out how many fame points you're going to get. You're going to take your fame dial. You're going to calculate it up. Okay, so you have your points. In this case, if I complete it and I still have this, I'm going to get 20 gold. Plus, I may get other gold, or I might get other coins because of different things that I did. And I'm going to go from there. I'm going to actually go into the next phase of the game, which is going to be the port phase. And the port phase is what starts off every one of the chapters. So this would complete the one chapter. I'd start the port phase. I have my money, and I know exactly where we're going to go from there. Okay, so that's a real high level to the adventure phase of the game. Like I said, it's a 24-page book. It's chock full of just so much stuff you can do. I mean, it's literally like trying to play a role-playing game and put everything together. You can do so much in this game. But like I said, that's a really high level. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reset all this, and I'm going to set up for the port phase, and I'll show you how the port phase works. So in the port phase of the game, now the port phase is basically how you're going to start off every chapter. So starting chapter 2 on, you should begin with the port phase. Okay, so I have everything set up right now, and this is basically what it's going to look like. Now, if you do have allies that come with your pirate, the allies don't take place in the port phase. This is only reserved just for the pirates. All right. Now, the port phase is one of the things that I say this game is kind of like an RPG in a way, because if you go look at, say, the port phase book, and you come here, there's a bunch of feats, classes, and skills that your characters, man, I can't talk today, can take. All right, and there's different people. For example, there's different people you can go get and go talk to, and depending on what you're doing, you can actually spend money and fame points, and you can increase ability. So you're going to have a little record sheet for your character that you can actually write these down, and they're going to actually give you better, better fencing, for example, better combat skills, better haggling, just all kinds of different stuff. So this is where you're really taking your pirates and you're really increasing their abilities. And you're making them definitely like a role-playing character, okay? Now, how this works is you're going to start off and your pirate's going to be at its ship, all right? And you're going to put your token and it's going to be up here in number 20. Now, this is a time track, all right? Now, you have to go into this town, go into the port, do everything you want to do before your time track comes off the board, okay? If your time marker comes off the board and you have yet to get back to your ship, then you're going to take -5 to your fame, okay? So you want to make sure that you get back on time. Pirates do not like to be late, apparently. Honor thing, I guess. I don't know. All right, now how this works is when you want to move from one place to another, you're going to follow these dotted lines. So basically, from your ship, the first place you're going to move to is you're going to be able to move to the dock. Okay, from the dock, you can move up to the market, and from the market, that's where you're going to be able to go, to the tavern or to the chapel or up here to this place, which I can absolutely never remember what it is for some reason or another. Okay, but it's going to be right here, and it's going to be the manor house. So this basically is a nice little handy reference chart, which you are going to be using a lot, that tells you everything you can do. So if you go to the tavern, you can do these. Here's your chapel things. Here's your market abilities. And they're also going to tell you how much time, okay? So like if you want to train with Maggie, for example, in the market square, it's going to cost you 7 time. So your training is really expensive and it's a lot you can do. Now, if you go to the manor, you're going to do these abilities here. The docks, you can do these abilities. Now, the docks is kind of an important one, especially if you happen to be the captain. In a multiplayer game, one of you is going to be the captain. He's going to have the most fame. And the captain is one that has to do a lot of stuff in the docks that has to do with your ship, buying upgrades, sails, cannons, everything else. And during the game, you can actually, especially during the venture phase, you can get different gold amounts, or if you're on voyage phases and you sell different cargo and stuff like that, you're going to get a pool of money that's going to go specific towards the captain and being able to upgrade the ship that can be spent there. And the captain's the only one that can spend that money. All right, so say you come over here, you spend 1 time and you go to the docks, okay? Well, if you want to do something at the docks and you stop there, then what you have to do is you have to draw an adventure card. But say, for example, I don't want to stop there at the docks for my first thing. I want to come up here to the market, okay? So in that case, it cost me the 2 time, but the first thing I got to do is I have to draw a market card. Now, these are all event cards, every one of those top decks, all right? And you have to read this, tells you a little story, and you do your little event card, okay? Once you've completed your event card, all right, then you can actually go on and you can do the different abilities here at the market. Like for example, you can buy any number of rum and or brew cards, okay? Rum's going to cost you 3 money and brew's going to cost you 3 money. Now, down here is kind of your market. So you have your brew, which you can discard to remove 2 health. You have your rum, which you can discard to recover all your health, for example. And all of the brew and rum that are available in these decks are in this this pile right here. So when you finish the port phase, you have to take all these cards and you have to shuffle them all back in so they get mixed up again. You have this deck right here, which I believe, if I remember right, is like the black market deck. You have this deck here, which there's only 4 cards in it. This is the black market. So this is the captain's haggling deck. This is the market that you can buy from, and then this is the black market. So if you go to one of the places where you can deal with the black market, that's what you're going to do there. Okay, but what you're doing in the port phase is exactly that. You're figuring out what you need to do. If you're healed real bad, you can come over here. You can spend a time. You can go to the temple, and you can heal. Or you can spend, say, a couple more time. You want to come back over here to the pub or to the tavern. You can listen for rumors, in which case you may have to roll and try to discover things. You can hire allies. So in a solo game, one of the things is you can have up to four allies. In a regular game, you can have 1 or 2. I can't remember off the top of my head how many it is. But I've only played this game really solo, so that's where I know that one as much. And you can actually start the game off with 4 allies. But if you need more allies, you can get them here. And allies don't take part in the port phase at all. This is only for pirates, in case I haven't said that before. Okay, you can hire a group of pirates to do different things. So there's so much you can do. You can tell a story to try to do different things. You can try to gamble. You can try to make more money. Okay, there's a lot of stuff you can do. Just like with the manor house. The manor house, of course, you can listen to rumors. Now the docks is kind of interesting too, especially if you're the captain or I think it's the docks. You can actually go and you can try to listen for rumors, and you can try to get more things to do during the voyage phase. Okay, and that's these decks right here. And when you pull these over, like this one, here's your map charting. You're going to gain 25 money, and part of an island will be named after you. So basically, this is an exploration. So you have to do something specific to gain this. But if you fail and you don't do this on your next voyage phase, well, then you're going to lose a bunch of fame because, well, you're a Cardi pirate. Okay, or in this case, it looks like you're gonna see, here's the Flying Dutchman. Okay, so you got rumors about the Flying Dutchman. You're gonna gain 20 fame and remove the ghost ship from the board. So basically, you probably have to try to hunt down the Flying Dutchman. All right, this is an assignment. So you're gonna lose 5 fame if you don't discard this assignment card. So these are cards that you can try to get. They're gonna get you more fame. They're gonna get you more money. But you definitely, during the voyage phase, you want to try to complete those. Okay, so you're going to keep running around this board, doing different things, whatever it is, until your fame runs down. Now, the interesting thing about the manor is the manor costs you 7 time to go there, unless you're the captain. So in a solo game, you're always the captain. It doesn't cost you the 7 time because the manor, you can do some other different things. So a lot of times you see the captain go up here. A lot of the other guys may not necessarily go there. It all depends on how much time they want to spend, because a lot of people want to spend time trying to update your characters, providing you have enough fame and providing you have enough money. Okay, but once everything's done, you get back to your ship. Hopefully you do that before the time runs out. If you still have time and you're back at your ship, it's no big deal. But then again, like I said, if you don't make it back to your ship, say you're here, your time runs out, you lose 5 fame. And then from that point, the port phase is going to be done. Once everybody's crossed this, nobody has any more actions to do. At that point, you're going to move on to the voyage phase. So the next piece I'm going to talk about, we'll reset all this, and I'll set up, and we'll explain the voyage phase. Okay, lastly, we're going to explain the voyage rules. All right, and I'm going to be up front, and I'm just going to say this is, to me, the most confusing part of this game. I think this rulebook needs more diagrams, because I cannot play this voyage phase without constantly having to look up every single thing that I do. I think I spend more time constantly in the rulebook with the voyage phase than I do actually playing the voyage phase. This is one phase I would actually like to see this as a game in itself and almost stripped out of here, or just really super minimalize it and just massively simplify this section of the game, because there's so much you can do with the voyage phase that it is unreal. As a matter of fact, here is the back of the book, the voyage phase sequence. This is just your setup, and then you have all of this stuff that has to go down just for the voyage, and here's your end of phase. Okay, so there's, like I said, there's a lot that goes on in this, and yeah, I can't play this phase without constantly having to reference it. But what you're going to do is you're going to set up your voyage map. Okay, now when you go back and you look at your chapters, remember there was no voyage phase in chapter 1, but after you've completed chapter 1, you go to chapter 2. Okay, you're going to do a port phase, but then you're going to do a voyage. And what the voyage phase tells you is you're going to find your gold tokens. There's 5 of them with numbers 1 through 5 on the back. In this case, we only need 4, so we remove 5. And then we're going to shuffle the other ones, randomize them, and put them on C, K, F, and Q. And that's how we're going to set up the voyage. Okay, and I've already done that right here for you. So we've got the tokens that are on the board. And what we're basically trying to do, we start our boat at this island right here, and we're trying to find the token that has the number 1 on it. That is where the adventure is. That's how we know how to get there. Okay, now, during the voyage phase, this is a voyage phase summary, the summary card you get for this one. So actions on board. These are the different actions you can get or you can do when you're on board. Okay, if you land, you can do these actions right here. And then if you're just in combat, these are the different actions you can do. Tell you how much fame you're going to get. Like in this case over here, this is if you want to try to earn fame. Okay, what you need to do, where you need to go, and your role to do it. So fame is what you always want to try to do, because whoever has the most fame is actually the captain, and you want to try to be the captain. But in a solo game, you're always a captain, so it's not as critical, but you do need that fame. Okay, that's how you're going to use it for definitely for hiring people and whatnot. Okay. So the very first thing you're normally going to do is you're going to travel. Okay. However, in the very first round of the game, there is no travel phase. So you're not going to move. You're just going to be staying right here for the first phase of the game. All right. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move him out of the way a little bit, because what you are going to be doing is you're going to be bringing up your ship boat. Okay. And all your crew and the people that you hire are going to be down here, and they're going to be down in the cabins. And you might have, during the port phase, hopefully you bought cannons, because I'm sure you're going to need them, or you've bought your crew and everything else. So this is something you're definitely going to want to need to do. Okay. But then what's going to happen is you're going to be eventually signing people to different locations, and different locations on this boat are going to do different things. Okay. So like, your captain may definitely want to come up here. If you want to pilot the boat, or you want it to move, then you got to put someone over here at the helm, so that they can actually do that. You want to, you definitely need more allies if you're playing a solo. I've only got a couple people set up for this right now. The boat's going to get dirty. This is a dirt token that every turn it's going to keep ticking down. So you definitely want to, maybe first 2 rounds you don't need anybody there. So maybe you want to sign these couple guys up here into the sails, because you want to try to move faster. The more people that are on the sails, the more actually they would start off over here. Okay, then the more you, the further you're going to go. Okay, especially starting on round 2. So, figuring out where you want to put everybody. Down here is going to be your hold. So whatever goods you have down here, this is going to tell you what you can basically fill your boat up with. So when you do go to the port phase, you can actually sell some of these goods. When people get wounded and whatnot, they may come down here to the sick bay. You can put people, there's a couple different locations where you can search. So if you're a certain distance away, you can actually, from a token, you can try to make a roll and see what the token is. You know, if you succeed at a roll here, you can flip it over. Well, this is a 2. This isn't where I'm looking for. I'm trying to find that 1. So you may not do anything with that one. You may have some of your rumor cards. You may have some of your other cards that you got while you're in port to where you need to try to go and do different things. Your captain may have other things to do other than just trying to find the adventure, because he's trying to, you know, make money. Okay. But this board here, every turn you're going to be assigning people. Now the captain, if you don't, you can assign yourself to one location, but if the captain thinks that you should be somewhere else, okay, he can actually spend rum, not rum, something else. And like I said, I got to look everything up, and he can send you somewhere else. So you would be doing something that you don't necessarily want to do. But the disadvantage to that is you have this morale track. There's different things that you're going to do. They're going to increase your morale, but this token here can also come down, this morale track. So if this token here ever gets down to here, then you can have a mutiny on the ship because nobody likes the captain. But you basically want to try to keep your morale up high. Okay. Now, you also have this timer right here. So every day this is going to tick down. Okay, there's 4 days times, and then there's 2 at night. So different things are going to potentially happen, whether it's daytime or whether it's nighttime. All right. Now, the other thing is, if there's other ships that come out, then this other board is going to come out, and this is the boarding. Okay, so this is where, if we have to do ship-to-ship combat, okay, so then your people are going to come on here, and then they're going to be boarding. You're going to go into combat on this board right here. You're going to have to fight whoever's on there, try to keep them from stealing all your cargo. Hopefully you can try to get something from them. But this is another board that you're going to constantly have to be pulling up if someone is in your space, okay? Now, the other thing that might happen is you might find other ships, okay? And that's where that boarding would come in if they happen to be in the way. So if you have another ship out, okay, then, you know, he may be out there and you may want to move. So away from him, you may want to move towards him. You may want to go into combat. Now you have arrows on your boat, all right, and the arrows are going to tell you what direction you can go. So if I am moving 1 speed, I can move forward 1 space there or 2 spaces there. Or I could turn, so now that way I can go up this direction and kind of get away from people. So that, and to turn or to move 1 space is based on however many movement points you're going to get, based on how many people you have on sails, how many dice you're going to roll, and what the values are just from those rolls. Okay. Now, some of the events may do other things. You may find a whale. A whale may appear out there somewhere. A lot of times the whales, if I remember right, they don't necessarily combat you if you leave them alone. But then again, if you want to fight a whale, well, you know, they have a lot of points, but I mean, you can get a lot of stuff from them. So if you do fight other things, for example, there's the whale, you know, they have, you know, 10 hit points, and you got to try to deal with them, but they're really, really tough. Okay. You may come across a whirlpool. A whirlpool is going to do something different. You may come across a sea monster. What else we got? We have a ghost ship you can come across. I mean, a merchant ship, try to get some cargo and get some good off them. The Coast Guard can come over and try to mess with you. Or there just might be a galleon out there that you have to deal with. So these are all really cool, different things you can have, or you can run across, which is actually really neat. Then again, I think this would be a better game on its own. Land exploration, okay? If you do want to land, this is some of the different stuff that you can do when you land. You can try to gain supplies, okay? Just trying to find more stuff, basically, is what it is, and trying to basically figure out where your adventure is. But like I said, during this phase, you're going to be running around, you're going to be fighting other pirates, you may have to do boarding, but then again, this is what you're going to have to deal with every round. You basically just go down, go down, go down. These are all the different locations that you can send your guys to. You have to try to remember every single one of those. Okay, now your event round, when you get to your event round, you're going to see what all is going to happen here. If you're going to spawn different things, then you're going to get your enemy round, and your enemies are going to be able to do whatever they're going to do. They're going to move around the board. They're going to try to get closer. They're going to try to attack you. And then you go to your end phase. Okay, and your end phase is going to be whether you're docking at an island, wounded, surrender, maybe it's a mutiny, maybe your ship's sinking, maybe it goes down, and you're going to be done. And you know, your pirate's going to go down with the ship. Whatever it's going to be, there's a lot going on here. But that is basically the world's worst summary of the Voyage phase of this game. And that's actually the last phase that we're going to go through. There's the adventure phase, there's the port phase, there's the voyage phase, and realistically, every chapter is going to do them port phase, voyage phase, and it's always going to finish with the adventure phase. All right. I've now given you a brief highlight of all of those. Let's go ahead and clear all this back up, switch everything back around, and then I'm going to go ahead and give you my final thoughts on what I think of Skull Tales Full Sail. Hello, everybody. I hope you're still with me because, oh my gosh, was that really long? And I'm sorry, that was, I think, way longer than it really needed to be. But there is so much to this game that, I mean, I haven't even touched on a small portion of the game. It's just unbelievable. Now, my final thoughts in this game is it's kind of going to be a little bit different because there's a lot I really like about this game, and there's things about this game that I think need some work. I mean, so one thing about this game is, I will say this, there is a ton of content. It is ridiculous. I mean, when you look at like the number of tiles that you can get, and every one of these tiles are double-sided, okay? So when you're setting up all the different chapters and everything that you're gonna be able to do and where you're gonna be able to explore, it's huge. And you know, these tiles here, all 4 of them, even on the back side of all of these, as you can see, there's more stuff you can do. So every time you do another chapter, it is going to feel like a totally different adventure. It always is. The voyage phase may be very same because, I mean, basically you're just putting your gold tokens around the board and you're still traveling and trying to figure out where you're going to go. The port phase is going to be the same thing. It's like, okay, well, where am I going to go? How am I going to update my character? How am I going to make them better? But it's just that adventure phase. The adventure phase is the one that's really going to change every single time you play. But so to give you an idea of the game and what my thoughts on the game are is, I really like the adventure phase, and I really like the port phase. I think both of those they're really good. So if you like an RPG type of a game, then I think you're really going to like those 2 phases because you kind of really get that feeling. The port phase is, you're in town, you're trying to, do whatever you can do to make your character better. You want to, spend your gold. You want to get more allies. You want to get more equipment. I mean, and that's what you want to do. I mean, that's the whole point of adventuring in a role-playing game, is to try to get more money so you can go to town and buy more stuff and make yourself better. And that's really what the port phase is. You're really limited on time on how much you can do. And it does take a couple chapters before you really can start increasing some of your stats, because you have to have enough fame, you have to have enough gold. So, after you finish chapter 1, there might not be a whole lot that you can do. You can maybe just go get enough stuff that's going to get you into the next chapter, and hopefully then you're going to be able to get enough gold and fame to where you can actually start increasing your statistics on different stuff. The adventure phase, I really like the adventure phase. I like the exploration. I like how it is timed. So you have so much time that you do have to try to complete the goals before the time track runs out. Every time you explore, time track goes down. Makes sense. Every time you search, time track goes down. Makes sense. So I do like that. It's like it prevents you from turtling. So you're not going to sit there and, well, I'm just going to spend my first 7 turns doing nothing but search and try to get all this equipment, and then we're just going to walk through it. If you do that, you're probably never going to make it to the end, because by the time you get done with your exploration and you find everything that you're going to find and open up all the tiles, you've probably run out of time and you can no longer complete it. And then you're going to have to start it all over again. So you really have to weigh the pros and the cons with that. So I do like that aspect of the game. The one thing about the adventure phase, though, that I kind of do have a problem with is it feels very samey, which means even though the maps are different, and I do like that, you have the temple, you have an island you're going to go on, you have some cities, so you're going to be inside and out of buildings and doing different things like that. So it looks different, but you're still kind of doing some of the same stuff. Every time you reveal a tile, you're spawning monsters, and you got to go fight them. Every time you are in a city and you open a door and you reveal things, you're gonna spawn the bad guys, and you got to deal with that. But it seems like almost every one of my turns is move, search, move, maybe explore, maybe search, move, search, and then some combat once you find some people. Once you get into combat, you pretty much don't want to drop out of combat, because even though the bad guys are still going to be rolling randomly what's going to happen, they're still a threat, and you still have to sometimes neutralize them. Now, you don't always necessarily want to kill everybody that's on the board, because you just may not be able to. You may not be able to heal enough, and well, you don't want to definitely die. But if you do drop down below on your health, then hopefully somebody can come over, they can help revive you, get you back up and running again, and get moving that way as well. But then again, that's also going to take more time from you, and it may also prevent you from completing the adventure as well. So other than that, I like the exploration aspect. I like searching. I like finding some of the stuff that's going to happen, and I enjoy the events. If there's no one on the board and you get an event and it does happen to trigger, like the first one I was showing you on my island. If I do get an island one and if something's there, they kind of have a really good theme to them. They're thematically they fit. They make sense. So I really like that as well. So if I have anything bad to say about the adventuring phase, it's going to be just that. It kind of feels a little bit of the same. Even though the map looks different, I do like that. I still kind of do the same actions over and over and over again. And the majority of those, even though there's a ton of them, the majority of those I don't necessarily do too much. It's like the jump may only come into play once or twice. Who knows? But the more chapters you get into, then the more you may use those. And I don't want to spoil that. You're going to have to figure that one out for yourself. Now let's talk about that Voyage phase. All right, now the Voyage phase, I have played the Voyage phase enough times to where I still have to reference the book. Now, I think if I kept playing the Voyage phase over and over and over and over and over again the same day, or maybe every day I just kept playing this game and that's all I played and I kept doing the Voyage phase. Play again, definitely make sure I'm doing the Voyage phase every day. I'm going to start remembering more of that stuff. But for some reason, I struggle with that every single time. And I literally have that book open and I'm constantly looking to see, okay, I got to go here to do what? Now I got to do what if I want to go over to here? And what do I got to do in this phase? And I just got to step through that every single time. So to me, the Voyage phase, it's kind of clunky. There's a lot to it. There's so much going on, and there's so many boards. I mean, because you got the main map, and then you got your main ship off to the side. Well, then if somebody boards, now you got to pull another board up, and then now you got to move everybody over to the boarding board. And boarding board, that sounded weird, but you get what I'm talking about. It's there's a lot going on. To me, the Voyage phase, I think, should be a lot more streamlined, a lot more simplified, and not as much. It's like it's literally, to me, it's a game in itself. I mean, I could literally see myself, if this was its own game and it was streamlined, I would buy this just for the Voyage phase. Just for, if there was a little bit of intro, there was like, okay, hey, you got to go do this, go around the board, try to find this, do this, go over here. It's its own game. It takes me longer to play the Voyage phase than it does for me to play any of the other phases of the game. The adventure phase is the second longest. It could be as long as the Voyage phase, depends on how long that one is. And the port phase is actually relatively slow, or short, not slow. But the Voyage phase is, it can be very long, especially when you spend the majority of your time inside of a rule book. And to me, that's a small problem. I think there needs to be definitely more diagrams, more examples of how to do different things, because a lot of it's just text and it's just you're bouncing back and forth, page. But enough on that. So as a whole, what do I think about this game? I will say, other than the Voyage phase, I've had fun playing this game. And now, to be fair, on the Voyage phase, one of the things that I've done is I've basically almost skipped most everything else, and I've said, okay, I'm going to play the Voyage phase to the point where I'm going to find my gold token, and I may go land, I may find some of that other stuff, and I've kind of trimmed a lot of other stuff out. And I've let the events kind of dictate how everything else is going to be, because I've tried just to get through the Voyage phase as fast as I can. But other than that, I've actually had a lot of fun playing this game. I think the chapters are very well written. It's not a ton of reading. It's very minimal. But there's a lot of content in there, and I like how the chapters flow from one to the other, and you're progressing down the line. I like how, as you're playing through the different chapters, it does bounce you through a couple different sections of the book when you're reading through the different things, and you're making some modifications. But I have really enjoyed that. I used to play a lot of role-playing games in the past. I haven't done it in many, many years. I would love to do it again. I just don't have time. So this kind of scratches a little bit of that. I kind of enjoy that. I do have some other games that are like that. But there's a lot more reading, a lot more involved to them. But this really simplifies that aspect of it. And so I thought that was really fun, and I thought it was a really good story. I know Eclipse, when they did this game, I will say, component-wise, everything else, they did a fantastic job. They did a great job on the story and everything else. And it's one that, I mean, if I have time, it's one that I would like to attempt to try to finish through the campaign. I think it would be a lot of fun to do that. As far as, do I recommend this game? Well, that all depends. This is definitely one that I would say, I would say try it before you buy it. And just go into this knowing that there is a steep, huge learning curve, and there is so much going on. And this isn't just a standard board game. This is, yeah, it's good. You need to treat this like it is a role-playing game that you're going to play, potentially solo, with your group, however you want. I personally prefer this solo. That's the way I want to play this game. I don't want to play this with a group. I want to play this one by myself. I want my pirate. I want my 4 allies, and I just want to do my stuff. And I'm totally happy with that. So there you go. That's it. Try it before you buy it. Definitely pull the rulebooks down. Take a look at them. I know they've updated them for 2nd edition. It went from one giant rulebook. They split it all up into multiple rulebooks, which actually I think is going to help. But I think they could still use a little bit of work. So hey, let me know if you've played this game. Let me know what your opinions are. I know there's a lot of people that had the 1st edition of this game that they bought it, looked at the rulebook, put it off to the side, and said, nope, waiting for 2nd edition. And then they picked it back up. That's just some of the comments that I've read online and everything else. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what other people think about this game. I know this is a really, really long video. I hope you're still with me. Maybe you checked out a long time ago. If so, I'm sorry, but there's a lot to this game. And I kind of tried to cover as much as I could, except for that Voyage phase. But hey, until next time, thanks for watching.
Dice Master. Look across the